You mean Joel? Shrek? You think he wouldn't just crawl out of the mud in the swamp and just be like, I'm here. He's the swamp monster.
Someone left like an outhouse just like at spawn, and then suddenly like it's crashed open and Joel Smallish Beans is standing there. Betrayal. Sing, O goddess, of the betrayal of the boogeyman, aching, bleeding, who turn on their allies for their own hearts, hurtling down the bodies to the ashen ground. Welcome to FanDive. My name is Chaos.
And my name is Andy.
And I realized we didn't address this last episode. I'm doing like a much closer version to the Iliad opening than I typically do for our poems. Hi, if you don't know, our poems are reference to the Iliad, but it's changing depending on which translation. And like, Wrath, O Goddess is direct quote from the Iliad.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's like
references. We like references.
We like
but
references.
What do we last like for this episode?
FanDive, welcome to the second episode of our mini-series where we are running through the Life series seasons, and this week we're talking about Last Life, the first sequel to Third Life.
Yeah, so they still have the 3 lives, where it's green, yellow, red. When you're on red, you attack people. But there's also boogeymen.
Boogeymen. There were 2 major twists to this season, actually. Was Last Life the season they had, like, roll, see how many lives they had? Because I feel like someone had 4 lives. It was.
Quote, instead of only having 3 lives, each player gets a random number of lives between 2 and 6 on their first episode.
Yeah. I was watching LD Shadow Lady's POV this past week because I was trying to, like, oh, what things did I miss in other people's POVs? So I've been watching, like, Third Life and Last Life is kind of the only one I haven't watched everyone's POV of, so I was watching Lizzie's this time, and Lizzie had, thankfully, a decent number of lives.
Yeah, so the rules do still apply. I am correct. Those rules still apply. But when you have 3 lives left, you're light green. If you have more than that, you're dark green. 2 lives left, yellow. 1 life, left, red. So same concept, same practice, just a little bit more fancy because you could start with 2.
But the main thing people think about from Last Life is the Boogeyman curse, which is interesting because it carried over into other seasons. Like, it's one of the few things from one season that carried over into others.
Boogeyman.
The Boogeyman. The Boogeyman was a randomly assigned person who would be told, you're the Boogeyman, regardless of what life you're on. You have to go kill someone, take their life, or else you are going to lose a life yourself.
Not lose a life. You would go down to red.
You would go down to red, yes. So it was like, if you had 6 lives and you were the Boogeyman, well then, if you failed, you lost 5 of your lives. So it was kind of a big deal.
Also, another thing from the season was the enchanting table. They had an enchanting table at spawn rather than letting you make it.
Yes.
And that was fun.
As we mentioned in the previous episode, it's like, yeah, they took things that they saw as like high quality, fun things from the previous season, and they started carrying it over and making it rules. Like, there's only 1 enchanting table.
And it stays at spawn.
Well,
it stays there.
Hopefully. That did not last. It was very quickly stolen.
Hey, no, it was just put underneath spawn.
It was very quickly stolen. Well, no, because, like, there was literally points where, like, Scar stole it, and then Lizzie bought it, and then Scott bought it, and then, like, they started selling it around the server. It did not stay at spawn.
I thought that was Third Life.
No! I mean, yes, but no!
No, because they traded it around in Third Life, but in Last Life, they kept it at spawn, and they tried to hide it at spawn, but it wasn't allowed out of there.
Lizzie bought it in I literally was watching Lizzie's POV yesterday. LD Shadow Lady.
Let me misremember
Last Life enchanting table. Yep. She bought it.
Oh, also, guess what? There's 3 new players for this season.
So I'm unclear if it was like, were they invited to Third Life but weren't able to make it, or were they like saw Green was like, oh, we need more people involved in this, and then they got invited in. But like Lizzie, Mumbo, and who was the other third one?
Oh?
Pearl. I keep forgetting Pearl wasn't in the original. But they were added into Last Life, and they were the new members. This one, we have the factions. The factions were a thing in Third Life, but they really kind of like, you're making teams and you're making like factions. So we have the Southlanders, which were the Ahas.
Woo!
Woo! We have
favorite team!
Fairy Fort, which was it was so weird. Fairy Fort like kept losing and gaining the same members over and over again. Because like when BigB became the boogeyman, he killed Cleo and Cleo left, and then Cleo, or at some point, Lizzie got on Red Life, and so Lizzie showed up back at the Fairy Fort, and BigB was like, or was it Red? Someone in the Fairy Fort was like, red names aren't allowed here anymore, and then Cleo then joined back with the group with BigB, and I'm like, Fairy Fort is the most, like, drama clicky group, and I love it.
I loved all of the groups for that season. Like, it's not my favourite season out of all of them, but it's certainly delicious. Because, first of all, Joel and Scar, separately but together,
they both
doing
decided
their
to
wizard
become
stuff.
wizards.
They're just wizards, and it's like, Good Times of Scar comes down from the mountain. He's like, "Would you like crystal?"
This was the crystal season, right? Where Scar was trying to sell colored glass, and it's like, this one gives you longer breath underwater.
No, you're right. They did sell the enchanter. I remember Scar tried to sell it now.
Yep. But it was just like,
right.
And then Joel and Scar became Red Lives, and then they were like trying to Red Life, but then Joel built like a house on the bridge that almost immediately got burned down. It was so perfect.
And the most iconic out of the groups, because it's still a joke to this day. Let's shout out Southlanders! This doesn't look Smooth Fortress in
This was the update where they got the spy glasses. And so everyone was joking around with the spy glasses of zooming in on each other's faces and causing all sorts of problems. Dude, the Southlanders, I just said the Fairy Fort had all the drama. The Southlanders literally like broke apart, burned their base down, and then came back together. Like, what a team.
The Southlanders were the stupidest people to watch. Because Martin's about to pass out from making aha jokes. Grian would happily betray the group for Good Times at the Scar trading him crystals, which, lore. Martin is also doing lore over there now.
This was the season Martin tried to do lore inside the actual gameplay, and it did not work well for him.
And Mumbo Jumbo sees a very pretty sunset and goes, "You want a kiss?"
This is what it's like being married. Martin and Mumbo casually getting married in Last Life. I don't think people talk about that enough.
Solidarity Gaming is getting bodily disorders, and Impulse is trying to get everyone to ignore that he's not British, so he doesn't make the same aha jokes that everyone else does.
Yeah, aha. Like, that's not, like, that. I'm sorry, accent-wise, Impulse can't do the aha jokes.
He's snuck in there and just be like, "Yes, I am part of this."
I am also here now.
He is! And he is part of it, 100%. He was important to that group, but it was the stupidest group to try and get through those point of views. At least when I'm watching, like, the Snow Fortress or whatever the team was, was it Best?
Best, yeah.
Yeah, Team Best. At least with Team Best, I can track what's going on.
Yeah, that's never gonna happen with the Southlanders.
I love them so much. That dialogue to give you, because my only contribution to that team right now is, I love them.
I think we should stop and talk about Martin for a moment, because like we mentioned, this was really the only time Martin tried to get Watcher lore into the gameplay, and he was trying to go around to the other factions and pick people from other factions to like join his secret group, and so that way it's like, oh, at the final moment the Shadow Clan assembles and they betray everyone, and that never ended up playing out because that's just not how the life series plays out.
Hold on. Was this the season that BigB went into witness protection?
Mm-hmm. This is it Terrence or Terry or something? That was because of his betrayal of Cleo.
Yeah. He was part of that.
And this is also this season we get Arsonist Cleo, where Cleo like shows up at the fairy fort. It's like, you built this very flammable, and then like the next episode, Cleo's like, and I'm burning this whole place down.
It's good. Cleo's a good arsonist.
Cleo was awesome. I just did a whole bunch of ZombieCleo cosplays, and I'm like, have been saving this lantern-like candle I made specifically to use, because I'm like, this is the only one safe enough for me to swing around in my room made of paper and Mod Podge. Like,
yeah.
I was so committed to, like, we need to have Arsonist Cleo cosplay.
Yeah. There's also this, another alliance that was from this season that we forgot to touch on. Was the Gaslight Gatekeeper Girl Boss.
Oh, right. That's Scott's.
That's this season.
I feel like I mean, yeah, it has to be this season. So that's Scott, Pearl, and Cleo after Cleo betrayed the fairy fort, or Cleo was betrayed by the fairy fort.
Great. They are great. They've never quite split apart since then.
Here's the issue. Those are like some of the 3 best players, and like I think Scott even commented it at one point where it's like, we're too good at the game. I need to stop preparing because it's taking away the quality of the videos. Like, you can't spend 3 hours mining to get the best gear. Like, that's not going to be a fun video.
It's also, yeah, they change world generations, so that is less of an issue later on. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't peak until at least Limited Life. So, so I'm not allowed to talk about it for this episode too much. I watched Scott that season when it started. Well, I watched all of Scott. Scott is my first point of view for each season, but then I swap over to Mumbo whenever Mumbo is there, because Mumbo is constantly confused.
I love the confused. Like, dude, the when he built his floor out of clay, and everyone's like, this floor is breakaway, and he's like, that's not how clay works, I don't think.
Is it?
It's not. I promise it's not.
Yeah. Also, are you the boogeyman? No, but I'm the boogeyman. Ooh, dancey dance dance.
I freaking the energy that Mumbo brings is so iconic, and like no one else does Vaguely Confused like Mumbo Jumbo.
I mean, Lizzie is very confused as well.
Lizzie
but it's
is
a different brand.
Yeah, it's different than Vaguely. Lizzie is completely confused. Mumbo is vaguely confused.
He thinks he knows what's going on, but he's not sure about it.
He's there for the good vibes.
Yeah. Another thing that came from this season specifically, related to Martin's lore, is the Boogeyman curse affected a handful of different people throughout the season. Started with B-Dubs. I think he was the first Boogeyman. I'm pretty sure B-Dubs was the first Boogeyman. But Scott was the only one to this date who did not give in to the Boogeyman curse. He let himself lose the life, go down to red life, because he was going to anyway, is what.
Yeah, like, created. He was on Yellow Life and he had the Boogeyman curse, and he's like, I can either die trying to kill someone to cure myself, or I can just die and keep all my allies. And I'm like, he made the logical choice. And so ever since then, we've had this, like, undertone of, like, Watcher AU of, like, dude, the Watchers hate Scott. I'm like, I'm pretty sure Martin has confirmed that's not canon in his AU.
No. Martin is the one who started it. Martin says the Watchers despise that man.
But I'm pretty sure in his most recent talk about it, he said the Watchers don't care about him anymore. So what's true, Martin? What's true?
From all of the ones that I have watched of Martin and the Littlewood, Martin and the Littlewood said the Watchers are neutral about most people, don't really like Scott. But fine, whatever. Hate him, but he's over there.
But he's over there now. It's whatever. Yeah. Okay, so there is opinions about the one person who refused to give in. Yeah.
Yep, that's what I have to say about that. I don't remember who else was a boogeyman. I know. No. I know. Joel was at a point.
Joel tried so hard to kill Lizzie, and he died in the process. And like he fell to his own trap, and then Lizzie died by a zombie immediately afterwards.
Okay, I've pulled up the wiki. Fairy Fort was technically BigB, Lizzie, Ren, and Cleo at different points.
Yeah. It was a team that kept breaking apart and coming back together with like different people included.
And then Shadow Alliance was BigB, Martin, Lizzie, and Ren, kind of.
Yeah, it was its own unique thing. See, I wrote a note down when I was watching those. That's my double life note. Where's my last life note?
Gone.
Gone. It's
Got
gone
Boogeyman.
forever. The boogeyman stole it.
Yeah, chests, if they are not hidden, they are free reign. And clearly you left your note out.
Oh my god, wait, that's something to bring up about the Life series is like it lets the Hermitcraft and Empires and all the other members like it gives them a moment to like not follow the gentleman's rule of the servers they're on. Like they can grief, they can steal, they can cause problems on purpose.
And it really adds to it because it is because of the Life series that some of these people have now gotten reputations of ooh, fire, we're gonna burn some things. Like there's a good handful of people who didn't have that reputation before, and then if the ship burns, everything burns. Wrong season, but still same concept.
Okay, I found my note. Finished Impulse's third life and Lizzie's last life today. My thoughts. Impulse really thought he could play all sides in third life. Martin thought the same in last life. BigB's betrayal of Cleo only to then turn around and drop Lizzie's team to team up with Cleo. Iconic.
BigB just he gets away with some things that I don't think other people could get away with.
Such like
just due to the charisma of that man's personality.
I've never met a man with more charisma, which is, and it's like funny too, because apparently he's like recording these like pretty late at night and trying to be quiet because his family's asleep in the house. And I'm like, this is the charisma of a man who's whispering into his mic at 3 a.m.
You say that, but Pearl's
at 5 a.m. See, Pearl is having to wake up to record. BigB is staying up late to record. Those are completely different energies.
No, Chaos. I don't think you've seen enough Pearl streams that are, no, I stay up and then I sleep during the day. That person has stayed up for the Life series before. It just depends on the episode.
It entirely depends.
Got worse in Double Life. But again, not the right season.
We keep wanting to talk about the next season because we want to talk about how things connect together, but technically, Last Life. You know what's funny? Last Life is always the season I forget exists because everyone's like, oh yeah, the Boogeyman season. I'm like, that's been in like 3 seasons. And I'm like, it's just
like, it's the ahas.
It's the ahas. Like, it's the aha season. Like, something about Last Life is just like, it's so many people's favorite season, and to me, it's just like, which season is that again? Like, no, it's the sequel. It's the first one I watched as it was airing. Like, I should know this one.
The problem is there's been enough, and there's been side spin, and fan-made ones, that when they say Last Life, you go, okay, where are we chronologically? Which is why I do the ahas, because if I do that, then that's accounting for 5 of the people, so I can eliminate all of the other alliances that were in other seasons.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean
Best
that
versus Ties versus Zitz versus not Zitz, that's Hermitcraft, but like all the different iterations of like Etho, Tango, Skiz, Impulse, like sometimes B-dubs.
Yeah, but if Impulse is accounted for, and so is Jimmy, that means we are not in a season where Impulse is part of Ties or whatever. But we are also not in third life because Jimmy is not married. And that doesn't mean they're the most important team by any standards.
But it's like, it's a team of 5. Like, that's a... If you're going to watch a POV, statistically, you're watching the Southlanders.
So it helps me rule out which teams were in which seasons, which is really what I do, because there's too many seasons to keep track of everything. I guarantee you we remember who was in which team better than the people who were playing the game.
Dude, and like the naming scheme of like it goes third life and then its sequel is Last Life and then the third one is Double Life, and I'm like, What were we joking about back when it was like before the 4th season was announced? It was going to be like called First Life or something, just to make everyone confused.
Yeah, it's strange. It's strange, and people make like New Life. That's a thing. That's a separate thing.
That's an Origins SMP.
New Life is a separate thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the naming conventions are a little bit weird, and it was people started calling it the Traffic Life series.
Yeah, well, I've seen people tag it both Traffic Life and Traffic Light, and I'm just like, have we agreed upon one? No, we have not.
No, we will not ever, because it's not an official thing that anyone actually says. But like official people will say, but they denote it by that green, yellow, red. Therefore, people went traffic lights.
It's that one for certain.
Yeah, totally makes sense, and it totally makes sense when I start seeing people put traffic lights in the username. I'm like, I totally understand.
I get what you're talking about here, yeah. And it's just like we've had too many seasons at this point for me to remember the first sequel, Last Life, which was in fact the second one to come out.
It's great. It was it's one of my favorite series seasons. But like the whole series is great, and when I rewatch it, it's always like, "Woo! I loved this one." Okay, next season. Ooh, I love this one.
They're all too good. I feel like if you would ask me to rank life series, like I couldn't be like even Last Life, the one I think about the least. Like I couldn't rank it at the bottom because none of them deserve to be at the bottom.
No, it was a fantastic thing. It was beautiful. It was a great extension of the first one, of taking the similar concepts but creating more from it, now with more expectations going into it, seeing if fans would be interested, even with changes, if they would be more interested, more changes. And we did get more people interested in the series at that point due to those changes. And also just due to the new members, because the people who only watch Lizzie discovering the live series for the first time and going, "Oh, these are real things," and it went well, and then we got another one.
And then we got another one.
There's always more.
There's always more.
Always more. Because even if the live series actually ends, the fans will keep it going, let me tell you.
The fans. And this is also the season where, like, people started to joke. It's like, well, Grian's name means sun, and Scott's was, like, the guiding stars. And we don't see the connection until Double Life, but, like, you start getting hints of, like, space. And we'll talk about what that means next week. But, like,
I think it did start in Third Life, actually, because of the sun in the desert.
Yeah, though that was just such iconic imagery of like Grian standing on the cliff about to jump with the sun behind him in the desert, his wings spread out and broken. Like the amount of art I've seen for that is stunning, and it like the sun has just become shorthand for Grian.
Yeah, so Grian was the sun, and then we got Last Life and Scott. Scott is the stars. Woo.
See, for the longest time, I thought Scott was, like, the guiding North Star. Like, I thought he was a singular star, but apparently everyone's like, he's all of them. I'm like, he's all of them.
Which is weird, because the people who do constellations later on are like, it's actually partially Scott.
It's like, yes, Joel is the chariot. Isn't that just Scott? Joel and Scott are both the chariot.
Because Scott is all stars, just apparently. I typically see a collection of stars because he has that floating things around his head.
Yeah. Which I think was supposed to be like blaze rods originally.
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of people depict them as blaze rods, but I also know once you start getting into the celestial bodies,
they become
people
stars
will pick them as these little stars
and all that jazz.
So that's why I didn't picture him as just a singular one, because of all of the halos people make with several stars.
He rather than the one big the bear constellation of the bear, the Dipper but bigger.
I'm supposed to know this. I studied this.
This is the most obvious one, and I can't think of it. Yeah, Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. There we go. That's Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So That's when it became an extended thing. And then Double Life is the last time everyone agreed on who.
No, Double Life was the last
We agree
time.
on Scott!
We agree on Grian, Scott, and Pearl, and never again.
Never again.
But let's move on to the Q&A.
Q&A! I am singing! This is a transition, because apparently this is my job in this podcast, is to make sound into the microphone.
And slowly peek and fade off to the distance. All right. Question number 1 is from that Biblop. Your favorite Five Nights at Freddy's character or game? Now, I have never played it, so I go for vibes alone.
Bad news, also not played it, only watched playthroughs.
The guy who's kind of like the white mask with the purple tears, he's kind of funny.
What?
I have no clue.
Okay.
He's sometimes in there. And then my friend Chaotic Saturn really likes the Wet Floor Bot. I've been told that's the most ideal character.
Yep.
Yep.
So I was just gonna say I like Sun.
The sun and the moon one.
Yeah, because it's spinny. I'm saying this specifically as a cosplayer. Cosplayers of that one specifically are my favorite because of the spinning mask. That alone makes it better than the others. Because some of these designs are fantastic. Spinny mask.
It's true. It's hard to beat a good cosplay. I don't know. The mangled, I think, when it's just the inside of the animatronic.
Yeah.
It makes me think a lot of like, there's this, I went to this museum once while it was open. There's someone who was dissected down to the point it's just their nervous system. It makes me think of that. Oh my god, wait, kind of weird fun fact about that. We don't super know whose body that was, and like the scientist who did it claims it was consensual but has zero documentation and probably was like a black janitor who worked at the place this scientist did it at. So you know. Have that in your nightmares.
So I like spinning masks on cosplays, but I also enjoy the one person who did the all of the Freddy Fazbear voice silly stuff.
I like Markiplier.
I like
Vanessa. Yeah.
No.
Wait. The Five Nights at Freddy's musical, that's a good one. I enjoy that one.
Also know what I was referencing, but sure.
The pirate one from Five Nights at Freddy's the musical. From Random Encounters the YouTube channel. That's my favorite.
I feel like the person who asked this is going to be disappointed in our answers.
Yeah, we don't know this game. I'm sorry, I've never played or any interest in horror games. They're really not my vibe.
I've watched it. I love some horror games, but they're one of the things that I play in the background while I'm cleaning or doing art or that kind of stuff. Everybody, art fight is happening. Art fight is happening.
Art fight is happening.
You should, art fight. And so I've not really paid attention to the lore. Most of my opinions on the characters are just the design and the way cosplayers portray them and the sillies that come off of it. How did you get up there? The Vanessa. The sillies that come from it and the fun design. So yes, Wet Floorball, that's the answer.
Wet Floorball's the correct answer. Okay. Question number 2 from a person. Now, remember back when we were joking, it's like, oh, how did each of the hermits would join Hermitcraft? Like, you know, Cub came from the ancient city portal and Green fell out of the sky. How would Joel join?
Joel? Smallish Beans?
Smallish Beans with the L and not Joe Hills.
You mean Joel? Shrek? You think he wouldn't just crawl out of the mud in the swamp and just be like, I'm here. He's the swamp monster.
Someone left like an outhouse just like at spawn, and then suddenly like it's crashed open and Joel Smallish Beans is standing there.
I'm picturing more like a mangrove swamp, and then just a body starts crawling out of it, covered in mud, flicks his hair up, all of the mud comes off of the hair. It's like, hey, you know.
I think it would be so funny if just like someone was like, or like B-Dubs or Impulse were talking about, yeah, we're building like a cyberpunk city. And then like suddenly 20 buildings show up next to their city walls. And they're like, who built this? And Joel just comes walking downstairs of like, somebody called for a city. Like you summon him by speaking the words.
Yeah, so the thing is, he crawled out of the mud in the swamp, but nobody saw it happen. And then buildings just started appearing in mass. And they were just like, oh, cool, another builder. We were looking for another one of those.
Oh god, the like tie into the Life series when Joel wins and he's like, he crashes his car into the Watchers and then like he makes a U-turn to pick up Green and they just end up on Hermitcraft and he's like, guess I'm here now.
He fully crashes into a swamp, and then one day one of the hermits is walking around gathering supplies. You see a crashed car in the middle of a swamp. Like, oh, that's where he came from.
Yep.
So that's.
Yep. Those are the answers.
This has now become a whole AU.
We'll write this one day, Andy. You and me together.
It's fine. I got free time now. Well, kind of.
Oh man,
I finished my one story, so now I need to do more.
I have yet to finish the final freaking chapter of my fan. I'm gonna get it done just after I get back from a different country.
Will you though?
Will I? No. No. I'm so close to being done. I literally just need to finish the chapter, and it's not happening.
Ha ha.
All right. Next question from that Biblop. Your favorite sugary food / dessert?
So, I have a lot of dietary issues connected to my different disabilities. So I'm not allowed to have a lot of sweet things at this point in time. That being said, if we're ignoring that, I would love to have an angel food cake covered in berries. Strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, just cover it in berries. And Cool Whip. Lemon meringue pie. Oh, I miss baking.
Oh my god. I've noticed my tolerance for the amount of sugar I can eat has gone down a lot in recent years, and it upsets me so. Like, I used to be able to eat like a half a tray of brownies and feel nothing, and now I eat like 4 and I'm like, my blood sugar's too high. I gotta sit down. I'm aging and I'm so upset about that. But I love like a dark brownie with chocolate chips included. I love like a cinnamon chocolate chip cookie. I can't handle frosting. I've never been able to eat frosting without getting some sort of headache. And I'm like, it's like, everyone's like, don't you love cake? You love sweets. And I'm like, I can't eat frosting. It ruins cake for me.
I might have a medical thing for you to look into if sugar's giving you bad headaches.
Great.
There's a specific, I believe it's a Jewish type of bread, but I forget the name of it.
Challah bread?
What? No. Where it's a braided bread, but it has layers in it, and I prefer the sweet version. But there's also
I know exactly what you're talking about. Hold on. You could be talking about a milk bread.
Babka.
Babka's completely different, but okay.
I don't know things. I have a big book full of recipes from my family's history
really good
that do not have origins. And babka is one of my favorite ones that I got to make, and I have like 5 different recipes of it in the books that I've been given from my family.
I guess that I would call that swirled bread. I
love bread baking, and I'm not allowed to eat it, but I will make it all the time for my friends. There's another sweet again, I'm just given the book, so I have to remember the names of it. I have to remember its cultural origins. It's this little one, and it's kind of like the predated version of donuts with jam.
Yeah. I just saw a picture of someone who turned an everything bagel into a babka, and now I'm like, Andy, I need to try. Andy, I need to try this.
Well, if I lived anywhere near you, I would make it for you, but...
Breaking into you. I'm going to airdrop from my airplane, eat your bread, and grappling hook away.
Anyway,
Anyway.
There's also one where it's a sweetbread, and you make I personally prefer a raspberry jam in the middle, because it has a little divot in the middle that you fill up. But
the thumb press ones.
that's what it's trying to say, but that's not what it is. It's very similar, but it's not the same.
I know what you're talking about, though. Those are so good.
Yeah, and powdered sugar on top.
Oh my!
They're good.
It's
I love
been
making
actual
those as well.
years, but a Mexican wedding cookie. Dude, I miss
Personal
California.
opinion?
I miss California having such good food, just like available for me to grab and go.
I miss baking. I'm good at it. I'll do it all the time, and then I got allergic to everything.
And such is the story of our lives. All right, question number 3. Our favorite bird. This is from Anonymous on Tumblr, as always. You could ask questions in our comments or go to Tumblr to ask them anonymously.
Personally, a crow is always going to be up there for me, just due to my relationships with the crows. Culturally, my family, I don't know where this comes from. I have too many cultures in my family, so I don't know which one this came from. But cardinals are considered family members of mine. So I'm always on the lookout for cardinals, take pictures of them, that kind of thing. European starlings are also one of my favourites, though that's a little bit because they can be invasive to certain places in the Americas. But if they stay in Europe, they are beautiful, fun bird to listen to and watch and stuff. I know mourning doves are also up there for me. I love seeing them, love interacting with them. I have an OC that I based off of mourning doves. I don't know. I don't know if I have an exact favourite. I like birds.
I have a whole bunch of furry friends, and they've all looked at me and went, "You would be a bird furry," which I argue should not be called a furry, but apparently, a feathery. Apparently, I would be the perfect key parrot, and I'm like, I don't have the greatest, like, I've held parrots before, and I'm always like, you are not where you're supposed to be in this world. Like, parrots always feel so inherently out of place.
I used to have parakeets growing up. I had a handful.
So I'm a big fan of crows, less of a fan, but still a good fan of ravens. I mean, I love little common birds like chickadees. Those are cute.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Of course.
Ooh,
no offense to Sparkbird. Love you. Sparkbird, you're amazing. Blue jays are the worst.
I don't like blue jays. Blue jays
they
are so
bullies.
mean. We have
Blue jays are mean.
Many bird feeders in my backyard, and literally we have a squirt gun specifically to chase off the blue jays. I mean, we have a big... I've seen herons in real life. Like, we have a big old one living not far from us, and I'm like, you're too big to exist as a bird. Like, I'm sorry, no. And, like, herons aren't even that big in terms of, like, big birds.
I love the common blackbirds that have an iridescent shimmer to them. Those are so much fun to spot. I have robins outside my front door, that have a little nest right now, so I've been watching those babies grow up. That's fun. I don't know if a specific one that's my favourite. I'm associated with so many types of birds, and I just kind of watch the ones around me and then learn about those. I love the geese. The Canadian geese, people seem to think they're so much meaner than they are to me.
I don't like Canadian geese.
There's a couple geese that come and go from around me, depending on the time of year, that are fun because they just let me get within a short distance, a couple steps of them, and as long as I'm not attacking them, just like, yeah, we're here, you're there, it is what it is.
There is a lake I used to walk around a bunch, and for whatever reason, I don't know if at some point I upset these birds, but like a whole bunch of people would be walking like around this lake, and the geese would not bother them, and then I would come up walking around this lake just like everyone else, and they would just narrow in on me and like run at me with their wings spread, and I'm like, am I doing something wrong to these geese? Like, why do you hate me?
Yeah. It's been decided you're doing something wrong to them.
It's probably because I am nice to crows, and crows and geese are inherent enemies.
No! I'm a crow. Boo. Oh, I love my geese. I love all of my birds. I love.
Enemies.
Sorry,
Enemies,
I'm still
Andy.
on. I love the cream puffs as well, but I prefer to make a chocolate filling for them.
We're back to talking about food. Dude, I didn't eat lunch and now suddenly it's like 3 o'clock and I'm like, oh yeah, sweets do sound really good to go get.
I don't want to go get them. I want to make them.
Oy vey. All right, well, was that 3 questions? It was. Well, damn. All right. Goodbye, I guess.
Danish pastries are also pretty good.
Oh my god, I love Danish pastries. Thank you for listening to this week's episode of FanDive. We'll be back again next Monday diving into yet another fandom. Have a topic or question for the podcast? Head over to our website, fandive.tumblr.com. There you can also find any episode relevant images and general shenanigans that we get up to. It is Tumblr, after all. We're not afraid of being fans of things.